The following is paid programming. Welcome to Something More with Chris Boyd, certified financial planner practitioner and founder of Asset Management Resources, LLC, a registered investment advisor firm. We call it Something More because we like to talk not only about those important dollar and cents issues, but also the quality of life issues that make the money matters matter. Here he is, your fulfillment facilitator, your partner in prosperity, advising clients across the country, your host, J. Christopher Boyd.
All right. Welcome, everybody, to Something More with Chris Boyd. Thanks for being here. And Jeff Perry, thanks for being with me as my co-host through the show again.
Always a pleasure.
Both of us of Asset Management Resources. And Jeff, hard to believe we got Thanksgiving behind us, and it's already into the holiday season in full swing.
I would say it's felt like we've been in the holiday season for a while. If you visit any of the stores, the holiday stuff has been out, and around our neighborhood, the holiday lights have already been on. So I think people are well into the holiday spirit.
Well, that's true. And with Fridays, but Black Friday, all the spending, everyone gets out and gets their deals. And, now onto the shop local day.
Absolutely. That's always been a really important one to me that I try to be intentional about. I was, former small business owner myself years ago, and really appreciate your loyal and regular customers. And certainly where you are on the Cape, it's more important than, ever to support our local businesses and local shops and restaurants and retails, establishments. And that wasn't always the way it was. I was looking it up knowing that we were going to talk about it. Do you know when Shop Local Saturday started and who started it?
I would assume it's within the last 10 or 15 years.
Yeah, very good. 2010 by American Express.
Yeah.
They started it, card holders, their customer, many of their merchants are small business owners, obviously.
Right. Yeah.
And soon after that, the Small Business Administration, jumped on the bandwagon, so to speak. And
yeah, well, it's a smart concept. And I don't know, this time of year, especially, it's like, well, that's when you get the whole holiday spirit, when you start wandering around the local shops and things start to get to feel more nostalgic. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You're walking through a Hallmark movie or something. I don't know. Rather than going to the mall, you know what I mean? Although,
I was going to say rather than jumping online.
Yeah, well, you do have to sometimes go to the mall, though, too. Some of the bigger stores have some good stuff, and it's harder to keep them open these days, right?
Sure, there's challenges. So, it's a good day to remind ourselves that we have a lot of our neighbors and friends operating these businesses, and we should be supporting them when we can. And today's the day that we do it on Saturday.
Yeah. Now you mentioned Cyber Monday. Do you do a lot of your shopping online? I mean, who doesn't these days, right?
Yeah, I'd like to say no and sound like I always travel to the local store, but
It's
don't.
So convenient. I mean,
it is. We do a lot online, and I don't typically fall into the shopping sales of this weekend. I don't know. I'm just not one of those people who say, "Oh, I got to go find that
deal."
You're
such a planner. You've probably already got it done. I don't know. I could be wrong.
Well, you might be right.
You probably had it done last week.
We have a change in tradition in the Perry family where the people who know me or listen know that I've spent decades on the Cape, and I'm in Florida now. But we had a tradition that we do Christmas Eve at my wife Lisa's mother's house every year, and it's changed this year. Willingly, people are coming to Florida this year. So
yeah, there you go.
It's a new tradition for us, so we will be prepared. You're right.
There you go. Now, do you find that that's uncomfortable? No cold weather, no snow. Oh darn.
No, Christopher, I do not find that to be uncomfortable. I find it very enjoyable that I can walk around in my shorts and flip-flops on Christmas and go outside and get some sun before.
Yeah, not bad. Go for a swim. Okay. In any case, also this week coming up, we often tend to focus on Giving Tuesday.
Absolutely.
And on our show, historically, this time of year, we tend to have had in a lot of charitable organizations. I'm not sure we're going to be having as many this year, but oftentimes we'll talk to the Red Cross, the United Way, the Cape Cod Foundation, a number of organizations like that. And then, of course, some of the veterans organizations we've talked to in recent times as well.
It's an important day and an important time. The end of the year is a very important time for charitable giving, not just for the people like us who give money, but for the charities. If you look at
It's hugely important for their planning, right?
They get a significant amount of their funds for the next year in this last month of the previous year, because people make commitments, they get in the mood, they have Charitable Tuesday. Yep.
Yeah. Giving Tuesday. Yeah. So I think that brings up the topic of what's the best way to start thinking about giving when you do have causes. It can be, whether it's your local charity, whether it's your alma mater, your hospital, your church.
Whatever touches your heart, right?
There's lots of different ways to think about, worthy causes and organizations.
Or individuals in need in the community. There's always an effort to identify individuals who maybe can't provide the Christmas or the Christmas dinner that
locally we have the Cape Cod Times Needy Fund is
That's
a
right.
good example of something that's in response to that kind of an intent. You're just talking about like organizations that are giving meals and things like that.
No, I was talking about individuals that you might know in your neighborhood or through your church.
Yeah.
And one of the radio stations on the Cape has a program. I don't know if they still have it, right? Exactly. Where you can adopt a family, if you will.
Yeah.
And provide what the specific things that they're asking for this Christmas. So there's in holiday season. So there's a lot of ways to
Toys for Tots and all that. Well, I would just say if you're thinking about giving a financial, and of course, just as an aside, people also for organizations benefit from time. It's not just treasure. It can
Absolutely.
be volunteerism as well. But for those who are thinking about contributing, what are some of the ways in which people can give in a way that is smart? One possibility for those who are age 70 and a half and older is the Qualified Charitable Distribution. Seems like this is getting more traction. People have heard about it more these days, and it's getting more attention. It's been around for a while.
Right.
And it hasn't been as popular until very recently. What were you going to say, Jeff?
I was going to say, I don't think most consumers, we know because we deal with it professionally, but I don't think most individuals know about this. We were just meeting with a gentleman who came in to get some advice.
Yeah.
And this is a subject that came up.
Right.
And
it was about making a gift from cash, right?
Well, he was talking about how he takes these distributions from his IRA that he has to take in his case, and that he doesn't use it. So he gives away half of it.
Turns around and gives it. Yeah.
Right. So, and we
were saying, hey, there might be a better way to do that.
There's a much better way to do
more
that.
Tax efficient way to do that. So in that case, just to walk that through,
right,
the gentleman was getting taxed on the distribution requirement, the entirety
of it, right?
Distribution requirement. So that's income, right? Now he may get a charitable deduction after a certain amount of giving, but with
he may or may not
being so high these days, it's harder to do.
So that issue separately is real. People are so used to saying, "Oh, the money I give to charity is deductible," and then you ask them, "Do you do the standard deduction?" And people who don't do their own taxes, especially, will say, "Yes, of course I do."
Yeah.
And then you enlighten them,
realizing they may not be getting the deduction.
They're probably not.
They think they would be.
Right.
So in this scenario, we were saying to this gentleman, wouldn't it be great if instead of taking that distribution, you did a qualified charitable distribution, basically fill out a form with your IRA custodian,
right,
to have the money go directly from your IRA to the charity, and it avoids you being taxed, but it does count toward your distribution requirement, the amount that you're required to take out. So he won't have to take out as much and won't have as much income tax. The charity receives the money and it's free from tax because they don't pay tax as a nonprofit. So a real win when you think about you get to avoid the tax burden. Why not? You know,
There's no
um,
reason why not to. In that case, in that scenario that you're describing that is real, you cut his tax bill for that distribution, in essence, in half.
yeah, at least on that portion of the money that he was dealing with, with a not necessarily to half his tax, but half of the if he's given away half of that distribution,
That's what I
that
mean.
portion
Yep.
gets cut. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely.
Yep.
So a real win, good idea to do. Another thing that sometimes people think about is giving away highly appreciated stock, and as we talked about in another occasion with Ed Slott, and you know give away IRA money first, because if you can, not everyone is eligible. Not everyone is 70 and a half and eligible for that. And by the
Right.
way, when Congress updated the laws about when you have a distribution requirement, now age 73, um, they did not necessarily change this from 70 and a half for who's eligible to participate in the qualified charitable distribution. So you still have that. If you're 70 and a half and older, you have that window that you can take advantage, whether or not you're having distribution
Yeah.
requirement.
Even if you don't have a required
Yeah.
distribution, right? Well,
So
Chris, talk more in detail about. I think most people who consider charitable donations and have some wealth know about giving appreciated stock. But for the listeners who don't know what you're talking about, give us an example.
yeah, again, it's very straightforward. Instead of writing a check or selling something to create the liquidity to write that check to the charity, give them the shares directly of the appreciated stock. So, you bought a stock at $10, it's now $50,
Hmm.
decades later, let's say.
Yep.
Great. Okay. Well, instead of you realizing that $40 of capital gain
By
on
selling
some
it,
or by
right?
selling shares, just give them the shares. Now they receive it at full value. You get the deduction if it's applicable,
Hmm.
and essentially, the benefit is you don't pay a tax. The charity can turn around and sell it. They don't pay a tax.
Right, because
So
they don't pay taxes, right?
the full value goes to the nonprofit, and instead of you having to incur tax in the process. So it's a win. And of course, there's other types of techniques and tools when you're doing charitable giving when it comes to, you know, charitable remainder trusts, sometimes referred to as capital gains avoidance trusts, and things of that sort. There's all kinds of opportunities for trying to be strategic. Charitable gift annuities is something
Right.
that's been discussed lately, and the Secure Act did talk about some possibilities of how you can 2.0 you could the Secure Act 2.0, you can put some money toward these kinds of tools, but not for everybody is really the bottom line. In any case, might be worth looking at in your own situation.
Yeah, this is one of the subjects that when we're creating a financial plan for a client and we're going through not only their spending, maybe capital improvements that they'll have, maybe purchasing a car or taking a vacation or, getting to know them and really outlining a longer term vision for their financial plan, right?
Yeah.
Giving them assurances that they're on plan or making some tweaks if they're not. But charitable giving is something that we talk to them about, and so that they can be intentional about it and have it included in their plan if they'd like, if it's for them, and how it impacts them if they kind of go off course and don't stick with that plan.
This time of year is also a time when a lot of families think about gifting, and your comments kind of prompted me to think about that
Well, that's
topic
in there
as
too,
well.
right? Right.
Yeah, and so it may not be charitable giving, but it's giving. And it's really important that people give thought to this in the context of their own financial plan.
Right.
How many times, Jeff, have we seen people
Hmm.
give
Too
away
many.
too much
Too
and
many.
put themselves in a position where um, arguably they put themselves at a financial disadvantage where I mean, I've seen
Yeah.
extreme circumstances where people end up filing bankruptcy because they tried to help their kids out too much.
Right.
So, and that's not an easy place to be in retirement. That's not something you want to, deal with. And it's not unusual, candidly, and not necessarily the bankruptcy part of it, but the idea that people give away so much that they end up having to be challenged financially. parents love their family and love their kids, and they want to
Absolutely.
help them.
And we want them to help them, but
And
not to their own detriment, right?
exactly. And this is one of those things you don't want your kids then to have to try to help you,
Right.
and particularly if they're having their own financial challenges. It's a difficult line to walk, but really important that people don't overdo.
Yeah.
So you want to be deliberate. What can you do? $15,000 per person, per donee this year, I think is the
Well, that's gone up. It's a little
threshold.
higher than that, right?
What is it now?
I think it's 16.
16,000 anyway.
Yep.
So you can give a significant amount that you can give each year to your children or their spouses, all that kind of stuff.
And there are strategies if you want to give more than that you can talk to your advisor about to be able to spread that over your lifetime and avoid the taxes. It's once again, it's a form that you have to fill out. You just can't do it.
Yeah. So ultimately, there's some planning that can go into that.
Right.
But you want to put it into the context of your financial plan to say, how does this forecast? How does this play out? We've got some great tools to help in that effort. And
I say this often in the context of spending, but it applies to this. If you have a financial plan and you're working with an advisor that you trust, and you come in and say, I'd like to give my grandchild $50,000 for their wedding or for their down payment on their house, and we can model that out. Not only are you making sure you're not doing it at your own detriment, but you're also, if it works out and it doesn't affect your plan, you're also having some peace of mind that, yes, I can do this. It's not going to impact me negatively later. So it's always good to reach out to your advisor. And when you have a major thing that you're thinking about doing or making a commitment to something that wasn't previously in your plan.
And you want to look at it from multiple angles. What happens if one of us dies early? What happens if we live a really long time? If we have long-term care costs, et cetera, et cetera. Look at these issues before, making a decision that's not fully considered.
That's where your advisor is most valuable in those times of planning, certainly, and revealing, but in those times when you're trying to make a decision that could impact your life negatively later.
Well, as we get into this holiday season, the race to the end of the year, want to encourage everybody to be intentional and but also have a great holiday season. And if we can be of any resource to you in the process of thinking about your financial planning and portfolio management, don't hesitate to reach out to us. We're available through our website, amrfinancial.com. You can connect with us toll free, 866-771-8901. And Jeff, thanks for being with me throughout the show.
Thank you.
Until next time, everybody, keep striving for something more.
Thank you for listening to Something More with Chris Boyd. Call us for help, whether it's financial planning, portfolio management, insurance concerns, or those quality of life issues that make the money matters matter. Whatever's on your mind, visit us at amrfinancial.com or call us toll free at 866-771-8901 or send us your questions to radio@amrfinancial.com.
You're listening to Something More with Chris Boyd, Financial Talk Show.
Asset Management Resources LLC and J. Christopher Boyd, CFP, provide investment advice on an individual basis to clients only. Proper advice depends on a complete analysis of all facts and circumstances. The information given on this program is in the nature of general financial comments and cannot be relied upon as pertaining to your specific situation. AMR LLC cannot guarantee that using the information from this show will generate profits or ensure freedom from loss. Listeners should consult their own financial advisors or conduct their own due diligence before making any financial decisions.